I'm joined now by one of the lawmakers involved in today's hearing, Republican Congressman from California, Jay Obernolte. And he's one of the few lawmakers in Congress with a background in tech. He was a video game developer. For all I know, he's still a video game developer, among other things. Congressman, the bottom line is you actually speak the language, if you will, which not enough members of Congress do. So you heard some of the technical explanations that CEO Chu was making there. Anything he say give you some calm? Anything he say sort of appease you a little bit?
Well, it was a very interesting interview. I thought he kept his composure pretty well the whole way through. Unfortunately, he didn't give me the answers that I wanted to hear. My questions for him were technical questions about how this so-called Project Texas, which is their phrase for the effort to firewall user data in America away from mainland China, how that would actually be accomplished. And from a technical perspective, I'm very skeptical that it is technically feasible to do that in a way that would be impossible to defeat. And many of the questions that I asked him, he said, "Well, I'll get back to you, Congressman." So I'll look forward to seeing the written answers there.
Was this the committee hearing to say, I'm going to get back to you? I mean, he didn't have some of these answers. I mean, I'm guessing this was not your first interaction with people with TikTok, because I know they've been sort of having behind the scenes. I mean, they knew the information you guys were looking for. They weren't prepared?
Well, I mean, first of all, to be fair to him, he was asked hundreds of questions today. Okay. So I think if you hear something that you weren't expecting to hear and you don't have a ready answer for, that's the default stance. But on the other hand, I think that also it makes you come off as very evasive when you don't have those ready answers, particularly, as you say, in a hearing where a lot of those questions can be anticipated.
There's two things that have been sort of yellow flags to me. The explanation as to why divesting doesn't matter. He seemed to really believe divesting doesn't matter. Do you believe it doesn't matter?
I don't think it doesn't matter, but I'm not sure that it completely solves the problem. And I think, when we're discussing banning something that over 100 million Americans use, it's important to talk about the whys, right? No one relishes taking that away from the people that enjoy using it. But the problem is that we are very concerned about the ways that social media companies, this is not unique to TikTok, but social media companies collect vast amounts of data about Americans. And they've used that in combination with sophisticated artificial intelligence algorithms to make eerily accurate predictions of how that behavior is influenced. And they can use that model to actually influence people's behavior. So that's really dangerous capability to have in hands of anyone. That includes U.S. companies, but it's particularly dangerous to have in the hands of foreign countries who could potentially use it to influence American opinions, which has happened in the past. We know it has happened. So it's not an unreasonable thing to be worried about. That has national security implications in addition to trying to protect the safety of Americans.
Do you think America can regulate algorithms without knowing the algorithm?
Well, it's funny you asked this. I had that exact question for the chairman today in the hearing. And the point I was making, because part of Project Texas is they are going to allow Oracle engineers to look at the algorithms and certify that they're free from foreign interference. But the problem is when you talk about artificial intelligence, the algorithm is not what matters. The algorithms are fairly simple. It's the design of a neural net and the way it's trained. What matters is the data sets, these huge sets of data that you use to train the algorithms, and then the output that you ask out of those algorithms. And that can be changed at any time. So that's the real danger here.
Do you think this algorithm, I had somebody say to me today, well, Instagram sort of essentially has essentially borrowed the TikTok algorithm for how Instagram Reels works. Is that your sense? Is this that, or is what TikTok's algorithm so proprietary that it is more effective than any other algorithm out there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And all of the algorithms are concerning. What's especially concerning with respect to TikTok is the possibility that foreign actors could be using that algorithm to influence the opinion of Americans. But, in general, Chuck, this illustrates the need for comprehensive federal data privacy protections. Because this concern is a concern with anyone that collects this much data about users and seeks to use that information to influence their behavior. So I really hope that Congress this year will enact a comprehensive digital data privacy law that takes that out of the hands of the states, creates one standard for everybody, protects Americans' privacy across the country to prevent this kind of data from being accumulated.
Do you think there's a disclosure aspect that would be sufficient to you in lieu of a ban? So, we put warning labels on cigarettes. We decided not to ban cigarettes. We decided to go with warning labels. Warning, TikTok, when I download the app, if we had a warning label, TikTok is owned by a company that is influenced by the Chinese Communist Party. Be careful when you decide to put this on your phone. What say you?
That concretely, because 3 bills that do exactly what you just described passed out of the Energy and Commerce Committee in the House of Representatives 2 weeks ago. And I voted against them because I'll tell you what they did. One of them created a warning label for any app that was banned on federal devices, which includes TikTok. It's only TikTok right now. One of them created a warning label for any app that had data stored in the People's Republic of China. One of them created a warning label for an app published by any company that was either controlled by the PRC or the CPC or headquartered in the PRC. So the reason that I voted against them is I'm not a big fan of government warning labels. And I think if you're going to have one, you have to be very explicit about what you're warning against and what people ought to do about it. So, for example, if you're in the winter walking up some stairs, there's a sign that says, "Stairs may be slippery, please be careful." I got it. I understand what you're warning me about. I understand what I'm supposed to do about it. Tell me, warning, this app may store data in the People's Republic of China. That doesn't really give you any useful information.
So you think a ban is better than doing a warning label? I mean, because I go back to, we're all First Amendment people here. We're all we're a free society. China is not. So I struggle with this. Do you do a ban or do you warn people of the effects that this could do, right? I guess, ideologically, where do you fall?
Well, I would certainly, I'm a First Amendment guy, too. And I'm a proponent of, freedom and liberty. I think that to the extent that we can uphold those as principles, that always leads to better outcomes. So I would rather have a warning label than a ban. If you're going to have a warning label, it better be explicit about exactly the type of things that you're warning about. And, if you're going to have a ban, it's only as a last resort. But as I said, the solution to this is not banning specific apps, because that's the problem. It's like squishing ants with your fingers, right? If there'll always be another ant that sprouts up somewhere else, and you can, someone will come out with a new app tomorrow that'll take the place of TikTok if we were to ban TikTok. So the real solution here is to get our arms around the bigger problem, which is this vast accumulation of the data of Americans that's allowing this type of manipulative behavior.
Yeah, we've all been waiting for our Privacy Bill of Rights. It is something I remember politicians in the late 90s talking about, Congressman, and here we are 30 years later. Anyway, Congressman Obernolte, Republican from California. Congressman, thank you. Appreciate it.
Great to see you, Chuck.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.